finally. I think we will now just begin because I have been struggling. Hey, Swati, hi.
Hi Arun.
Hi. Okay, we're going to begin now, Swati. I am sorry about this, and I think I am going to start now. So, Swati, hi, and how are you doing, first of all?
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine and really excited about this show. Like I have been waiting for long for this show, and I would like to share my views, my opinions, and the questions and feedback and contradictions which I have been receiving about my fiction. So
Excellent.
I
Swati, just one humble request. You'll have to be a little louder because your voice is not audible. Yeah. You're visible
okay.
and the network seems to be excellent. Thank
Yeah.
God. Now, I
Yeah.
just hope that you're a little audible. So just be a little loud so that the audience can hear you. And hi to everyone. Okay, so let me begin. Okay. So,
Yeah.
hello to everybody, my audience, and everyone who joined the show. I am so glad that I'm sharing the screen with Swati Kaushal. Swati is an author, and she's an astrologer and a numerologist, and it is a pleasure to be able to talk to her today. I'm going to begin with her introduction, and then we're going to take it forward. So, Swati, hi once again, and here I go
Hi
now.
Arun.
So, she is an avid, she has an avid interest in spirituality, mythology, and occult sciences. She has been practicing astrology, numerology, and tarot reading for the last 5 years. Swati Kaushal is the author of a Hindi spiritual fiction called Shambhavi, Shiv ki Meera. She's also an astrologer, numerologist, and a tarot card reader, as mentioned to you earlier. Her book Shambhavi, Shiv ki Meera, talks about the love, devotion, and sacrifice of a devotee. Her usual life, but unusual challenges, which revolves around patriarchy and unjust social practices, gives a thrilling kick to the story. A tough situation can either make you or break you. That's true. But it depends on your choice of karmas. She stood as a pillar of hope, patience, and compassion despite the difficult and odd situations in her life. She loved Lord Shiva beyond the limitations of this physical world. Wow. She lost herself to find him on her way. She entered into some of the rare and mystic realms of this universe. I am very, very intrigued, Swati. Excellent introduction and welcome. And I want you to please, first of all, help us with this particular line, which says that she lost herself to find him on her way. How did that happen?
Okay, so first of all, hello to everyone, and thank you so much for joining my show. I hope I'm audible, and I'm connecting from
Yes.
my village. So if there is a issue of connectivity, please pardon me, and I'll try my level best to convey my opinions and my thanks with you. Okay, so as Arun, as you said, could you please repeat yourself the lines which you said?
So, yeah, the line reads, she lost herself to find him on her way, which is your love for Shiva.
Yeah,
So,
correct.
what does this mean that you lost yourself to find Shiva on the way?
Yeah. So actually, I have written this fiction initially in Hindi, and now I'm working on translation. So this line typically talks about Shambhavi loved Shiva beyond all limitations, beyond this physical world. And when I say, and when the statement is said that she lost herself to find him, this really means that she was so eager to find him that she was ready to pay any price for it, be it for herself, be it her own life, her own choices, her own priorities, dreams, or whatever, her own existence even. So she even thinks that there is nothing left inside me or in my world. If I have to pay everything, and even if then I get Shiva, that is enough. So that's what it is meant here, that she lost herself entirely. She lost her identity. She lost her, like physical existence and worldly things are really meager in those terms. She lost her entire existence, her soul, and everything just to get him. And then this is the
So,
journey. of her
So
finding
my
Shiva.
first question, which is, I think, on behalf of the audience, who's
Yeah.
Shambhavi? I mean, we don't know who Shambhavi is. So could you tell us, is Shambhavi a fictional character from your book, or is this a real character that you have mentioned in a fictional format in your book?
No, it's Shambhavi is not a real character, but then when I talk about, the character Shambhavi, those of my friends who have read the fiction, read the book, would really relate to this. That the way I have described her personality, her persona, her priorities, her way of thinking, you would find such lady very easily in your near your neighborhood, in your home, in your family, everywhere. But then the thing which is very peculiar is I have tried to highlight this thing that the things or the incidents which happened in her life, it happens usually to like most of the women, 80 to 85% women. But then it only depends that how do you react to it. Either you surrender or either you accept that it's okay, it's happening. You have to just take it. But she took it other ways. She made her own way. She converted her obstacles into her opportunities, into her dream. If I should say precisely, she converted her obstacles into her dream. And that's the way how she made her path.
That's a very powerful protagonist for a story. I mean, somebody who's been able to overcome obstacles for devotion. That is superb. That's really, really beautiful. So, Swati, here is my first question of
Yeah.
this interview for you, which is why did you choose this specific genre for your book?
Okay, so by profession, I was into content writing for long. So writing is not new for me. But then why I chose this genre is because when you write fiction, it allows me to lose myself into the world of imagination, which is the thing which I love the most. So
Yeah.
fiction is all about imagination. You could understand. So
Yes,
that
yes.
is the one of yeah, that is one of the reason why I chose to write fiction. And the other reason is what I believe is it's not only true in present context. Since ages we have been like witnessing this fact that people and community, they relate to stories and fiction. And
Yes.
fiction, yeah, and fiction and stories, the protagonist, the character of a fiction is the
Yes.
strongest way to portray a particular ideology, to
You can change a
highlight.
person's. Yeah.
Correct. And when we observe the community, we see lots of people with different persona, different priorities, and different ideologies in their life. But everything may not be correct. I'm not going into right or wrong. That would again invite another sort of debate. But then,
True.
writing fiction is a way to represent my ideology about life. Writing fiction is a way to relate to people, because very often, as I read a lot, I love reading fiction, and I have some of my friends as well. They say that while they read a fiction, while they read a story, sometimes they even find their role in the story. So it
Yeah.
actually gives you a way to analyze that situation from their point of view. Probably this is the
And
reason.
and I think the genre that you've chosen is a very popular genre. Apart from the fact that you have fictionalized your story so well, we meet a lot of people who are constantly asking questions about Lord Shiva, and they want to know about Lord Shiva. I think this is going to be a beautiful angle and a beautiful way to be able to get to know, Lord Shiva and his stories. I think that's really, really nice. So, tell us a little about the storyline and why did you choose that specific storyline?
Okay, so this is a very common question, and I have been receiving this question since the book was launched from my friends, from my families, and the first thing which I faced that did it happen to you? Is it your story? I would like to say this is not my story, but yes, if you ask me, that it's not only true about me; it's true about any writer. Any writer has only two ways of writing, as far as my opinion is concerned. They
True.
either write out of observation in the community around themselves, or out of their imagination. There's no other way out. right? Even if you
Yeah.
talk about Prem Chandra, Ravindranath Tagore, or even the like modern writers like Amish
Yes.
or whatever. So
Yes.
this is the only thing. You can only write out of the observation or your imagination. But my fiction is actually the amalgamation of both of these. I have tried to mix my imagination with my observation, which I have seen around me in my community.
Okay.
And if we talk about the storyline, this is actually a very common story of a very common woman. The only thing which was uncommon in her, that was her devotion, and more than devotion, that was sheer love for Lord Shiva. She not only used to worship Lord Shiva, she used to love him beyond all limitations. And as her life progresses, she faced lots of, obstacles and social barriers, you can say, in the form of social malpractices, but she never surrendered to it. She tried to make her own way, and she found devotion was the only thing, Shiva was the only thing which was of utmost priority in her life. And while she was progressing in her journey, she experienced lots of magical moments. I mean, that was completely mystical. And I have tried to elaborate in as clearly as possible so that audience or readers can relate to that.
So tell me something. I have a question here. You said
Yeah.
that writers, they write either out of their imagination or because they observe things around them. I completely agree. This is via observation or imagination, or is this a combination of two?
No, as I said, that this is a combination of both. What I have seen in my community, and I have mixed my imagination into that to bring a beautiful
Mm,
story for my readers.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay, this genre, I mean, these days they call this particular genre faction, factual fiction, and they have called it faction because the concept of Shiva is real, it is history, Indian history, whereas what you've added
Correct.
to it is your version of the mythology. And I think that's why the storyline is so powerful, and what you picked up in terms of the story, I think that is very, very, very interesting, and I'm sure it must resonate with a lot of people, not just across India, but across the world. And I think we're waiting for your translation, the book's translation.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
my next question, take us through the process of writing your book. That's the first part of the question. How long did you take to complete it, and what are the obstacles that you faced while doing so? Because I know it is a tough job writing your first book. I don't know if the second one is as tough, but yeah. So, take us through that process, and how did you complete it? What were the obstacles? Could you just share a little brief around that?
Correct. Correct. So, yeah, I completely agree with you that writing your first book is actually, like crossing a big hurdle, facing a challenge, and then after that, when you write the second one, that is not so, difficult for you. I completely agree. And as I remember when I was writing this book, so that was completely challenging for me. But I'm also an energy healer, energy practitioner, and I have been practicing energy healing, tarot reading, and astrology for last 5 years. But you know why this happened? But while I started working on this fiction, while I started writing the story, something happened to me. I mean, you may choose to not to believe me, but something happened. I felt very deeply as if the universe was guiding me to write this storyline. I felt as if some celestial force was narrating me the entire story, scene by scene. I just used to visualize. I do lots of meditation, which is a spiritual practice, and those of my friends who do would relate to this. I do lots of meditation. But during this period, I completed this fiction in almost, I think, 4 to 5 months. And at that time I was in a regular job as well. Right now I have resigned my job and I am into full time into my book writing and spiritual practices. But at that time, even if I recall those days, I used to question myself that how could I do this, how did I manage this. I really don't know how did I manage this. I remember that while I was going to my office, I used to write something while I was traveling in a metro. I used to write something in my lunch break, and people would call me crazy.
Yeah, I
This
know.
girl, she never talks to anyone. She's so silent. She's lost in herself. But this was the thing. This was reality. What happened to me? There was some
It was like a
spiritual.
guiding force, a universal guiding force that was taking you towards writing your book.
Correct, correct. And I felt a very, very strong step by step guidance that, okay, if this scene is there, after that, this. I never remember any of my days when I sat on a table or chair and I just started thinking, okay, so in my story, this scene has happened. What should I do in next scene? How should Shambhavi take her next step? No, it never happened to me. It just I like it just happened that the things, the ideology, the scenes just poured inside of me, and I would just write it down. It happened as it.
It's like they say that if when you're in a state of flow, when you're in a state of flow, your mind, it loses focus around. It does not really kind of absorb anything around it. When I was writing my book, I remember there are these 2 or 3 chapters. I actually do not remember how did I finish those 2 or 3 chapters, and they are my favorite chapters. But this much I remember, when I was writing those chapters, I had lost, I think, track of time, and I had lost track of what I was doing. And about 13 hours later, 12 hours later, when I got up from here, this is where I sat and wrote my book as well. I was also amazed because that was a state of mind that I had touched while writing. You writing that entire.
I completely agree with you, and like it happens, it really happens.
Yeah.
And that time is amazing. I mean, I can't explain. You would
Yes.
understand.
I think
I
that is a
actually
state of
felt.
meditation.
Yeah, perfectly. I felt as if someone entered inside me and he or she might have written the book, but I have not written. I feel sometimes like this. Yeah.
Yeah. Someday maybe you and I can have a chat about something called the Akashic records. Have you heard of the Akashic records?
Yeah, I
You
have.
have, eh? I have a feeling that is the connect. Because that's what
Yeah.
came to me as well. That maybe it's
Yeah.
like an Akashic connect, because it's Vedic. A lot of these
That
things
is.
are Vedic, so.
Yeah. That is
So,
related to tarot reading as well. One of the famous deck for Akashic records. Yeah.
Akashic readings, right? Yeah, it's a very interesting
Yeah.
thing. In fact, Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, a lot of them have spoken about it. Big
Yeah.
scientists have spoken about it. So, my next question to you, Swati. You did not mention which was your greatest obstacle while writing the book. You told me about the process of writing the book and how it happened to you. We still are left with was there anything that you would call an obstacle while you're writing your first book?
Yeah. So when you say obstacles, I feel there were two of the prominent obstacles which I faced. It may have happened to other writers as well, but I faced. Why? Because as I said that I wrote this fiction as a spiritual flow kind of. I was into a spiritual flow and the story was completed. I wrote the fiction, but sometimes I felt as if that divine connection was lost. And whenever this happened, I felt like crazy. I felt like, oh my God, what has happened? I have, it happened like sometimes that wire, that cord got disconnected. And I felt that how to connect it again. So this was one of the obstacles. The other one, which I would like to quote is, I'm not blaming anyone, but then it happens with any of the writers. When he or she is in a particular state of mind, working on a particular story, imagining a particular storyline, then you may do some absurd things, crazy things. I mean, it may
Yeah.
sound to others that it's completely absurd, it's completely crazy, but that's not crazy at all. And later on, you have to, convince people that no, okay, I'm all right, I'm perfectly all right. Please don't worry for me. So this was the biggest obstacle you would relate.
That is so true. That is so true. Yes, yes. I remember because when I was also writing my book, I used to be, I have stopped midway driving, pulled out a piece of paper just to write because otherwise I'll lose my thought and then take off again.
Yeah.
And I remember once having a traffic jam behind me because I was quickly writing. I had to write it and remember it, you know. So yes, I
Yeah.
can completely agree. It's very
It
interesting.
happens.
So Swati, how much do you relate to the character of your book, Shambhavi? How do you, as a person, relate to that character of the book?
So I would honestly say Shambhavi is completely reflection of my soul. As I said that while working on this fiction, this was, part of some observations from community plus my imagination. So character Shambhavi is completely reflection of my soul. I relate very strongly, and I would also like to quote one thing that if you have read the book and if you would observe the traits and the persona of Shambhavi, you would find that there is a slice of Shambhavi in each and every woman in this world. You would find a slice of Shambhavi in every woman in this world. Why I am saying this so strongly is that every woman has some sort of dream, some sort of priorities in their life, in their soul, which is many times hidden and neglected because of whatever reasons. I don't want to go into those reasons, but I'm not saying that you don't have to fulfill your worldly duties and the things which are important in your life, but you also need to listen to your soul, listen to your core purpose of your existence on this planet. This is really important because that's what going to give you an experience of living a fulfilling life, a complete life. Yeah.
Yeah, true, true, true. Swati, what is the exact meaning of Shambhavi? I'm so sorry if I missed it earlier.
Yeah. So, meaning of Shambhavi, if you say Shambhavi is one of the names of wife of Lord Shiva, Devi Parvati. You must be knowing that
Yeah, yeah,
wife of Lord Shiva is Parvati, and Shambhavi is one of the names of goddess Parvati.
Oh, lovely. So that means Shambhavi is completes every woman's desire as an embodiment of who she is. So as an embodiment of who she is, she carries the hopes, desires, and the mysteries of every woman in this planet. That is how she's been portrayed in your book, right?
Completely. Yeah, true.
Very nice. This is excellent. So which is your favorite part of the book? As a writer, I know which are my favorite chapters, which one I really like. In fact, I think those are the chapters that got my book published. But anyway, which is your favorite part of your book?
I would like to read that particular
Sure.
part,
That'd be
which
nice.
is my
And you
favorite.
must tell us why is it your favorite part of your book?
Although this answering this question is like completely difficult for me because I love the complete fiction very much, but then this part is very much attractive and it connects very deeply with me.
Thought it just be a little louder so that the audience and all of us can hear you. Yeah, just a little louder when you're reading.
Yeah, okay. So I'll read this in Hindi and later on I'll explain it in English.
Yeah, sure.
जहां से हिमालय की निचली तलहटी की पहाड़ियां प्रारंभ हो रही थी, वहां तक ही रेल यात्रा संभव थी। ऋषिकेश से गुप्त काशी तक की यात्रा उसने एक टैक्सी में पूरी की। इसके आगे तो कोई सवारी नहीं मिलेगी आपको, कैसे जाएंगे आप अकेली? पैसे लेते हुए टैक्सी वाले ने पूछा। शांभवी धीमे से मुस्कुराई और बोली, जिसने बुलाया है वही मार्ग भी देंगे। मानसरोवर के पारदर्शी जल में शांभवी को अपना चेहरा साफ दिख रहा था। उस ताल के किनारे बैठी वह स्वयं से पूछ बैठी, सबके जैसे एक साधारण इंसान ही तो हूं मैं। उन्हीं की भांति भूख और प्यास लगती है, थकान होती है, निद्रा आती है, कभी क्रोध तो कभी दया के भाव जगते हैं। फिर उनकी तरह भौतिकता में क्यों नहीं जी पाई मैं? और मेरे मन की बेचैनी और छटपटाहट आज यहाँ तक ले आई मुझे। क्या जिनकी तलाश में आकुल हूं वो मिलेंगे मुझे? सामने एक मध्यम ऊंचाई के पहाड़ से झरने का पानी गिर रहा था। यह एक पर्वत की तलहटी थी। नीचे नरम हरी घास की चादर थी, जिस पर 2-4 खरगोश तेज कुलांचे भरते हिरणों के बीच अपनी जगह बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे थे। करीने से समानांतर दूरी पर 15-20 कुटिया दिखाई दे रही थी। रात्रि के घोर अंधकार में दिए की टमटमाती हुई मध्यम रोशनी उनकी दिव्यता चौगुना कर रही थी। मध्य में एक बरगद का विशाल वृक्ष था, जिसके चबूतरे पर दियों की एक कतार सजी थी। गेरुए वस्त्र धारण किए उन्मुक्त केश राशि वाली 8-10 ऋषि कन्याएं एक ओर बढ़ चली थी। उनके गले में रुद्राक्ष की माला और मस्तक पर सिंदूर का तिलक था। उनके हाथों में मिट्टी के दियों से सुसज्जित आरती की थालियां थी। Okay, so I have read this in Hindi, and for my
It's
friends
beautiful,
who,
by the way. I live 1 hour away from Rishikesh. I live like exactly 1 hour from the yoga capital of the world. And when you
okay,
were reading it out just now, I could visualize it. It's so beautiful. Please explain it to us.
yeah. So for my friends who cannot understand Hindi, I'm explaining it in English. So this scene is describing. Just a moment. Shambhavi has actually reached. She was nearing to her journey to Himalaya, and when she reached lower portion of the Himalayas, she realized that the way of conveyance, railways, was only going till that particular thing, which was Rishikesh. And then from Rishikesh to there is a place known as Gupta Kashi, which is very famous among spiritual persons. So from Rishikesh to Gupta Kashi, she managed to travel in a taxi. And when she reached Gupta Kashi, that is not even her final destination. So when she reached Gupta Kashi, then the taxi driver asked her that, ma'am, how will you manage that this is the place till where only conveyance can go? From here, there is no mode of any means of any conveyance. I mean, you will have to manage only on your own. Then Shambhavi smiles and she says, that the person or the god or the force which have invited me, it is only he who will guide and who will provide me the means to reach that place. She says this and she just moves ahead. Then she reaches Mansarovar, which is near Kailash. So reaching Mansarovar, she sits there, and Mansarovar is a very famous spiritual pond, and she sits there and she was observing her face in the clear water of Mansarovar, and she started talking to her soul, and she says that I'm like an ordinary person, just like other persons who are present in this world. I'm just ordinary person like them. Then why all this thing happened to me? Like I feel hunger, I feel thirst, I feel lazy, I feel at times disturbed also, I feel anger. I mean, I have all the feelings and all those physical requirements in myself. Then materialism could not attract me. Why this happened? I mean, I could not relate to any material aspect of this world. Even if I'm not happy in getting those materialistic things. And even I'm not sad that why I'm not getting this, why this happened. And she says that I'm feeling quite crazy, and I'm feeling like I'm having a kind of thirst inside me, which is preventing me from experiencing and enjoying all these materialistic things. And she asks her soul that, will I meet him ever? Will I meet him ever? And then she keeps on moving ahead, and then she reaches a place where there is a medium-sized hill, and there is one waterfall, which is water is flowing, and below that waterfall there is a beautiful place which is completely covered with green grass, soft green grass, and there are 3-4 rabbits and deers who are playing all together, creating a wonderful scene over there. And she is moving forward as to realize that where I have reached, is this the place where I need to go. Then what she observes, she reaches a place where 15-20 small huts were situated over there, and they were all situated in a line, 15 to 20 small sized huts made of mud and small pieces of what do you call that, hay pieces. And by the time she reached there, it was night, and she observed that there were few small lanterns, and it was creating a very celestial, very divine kind of scene over there. The complete dark sky and small mud huts and small lanterns sparkling and twinkling. And amidst all this, she observes there is a huge banyan tree, and on the platform of that banyan tree, again she sees that there were lots of earthen lamps, and those were decorated and lighted, and it was creating a mystical kind of vibration. Then she sees 8 to 10 young girls, and who were wearing saffron colored saris, and their hair were long hairs, and they were open. They just had Rudraksh, a bead which is famous from a spiritual point of view. They had Rudraksh
Let me
beads
show
in
the
their...
audience the Rudraksh, what a Rudraksh looks like. So this is
Yeah.
what an Rudraksh looks like.
Yeah.
And it's worn around the neck and the hand. Indians wear this. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, anyone who is related to Shiva would understand, because
Yeah.
Rudraksh is also believed to be tear of Lord Shiva.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
what mythology and spiritual practices say. And so the young girls were wearing Rudraksh beads, and they were having long dark hairs, open dark hairs, and on their forehead they were wearing round red colored kumkum kind of thing, and they were handling decorated pieces of earthen lamps in their hands, and they were heading ahead towards the temple for worshipping their Lord. So this is one of the scenes and situations which I just shared and explained with you. Now when you say that why this is one of my favorite scenes out of my fiction, is this: when you sit down and when you just read this portion, you would visualize that when you reach such kind of place, that would again transcend you into a complete different state of being. I can't even explain that in words. Yeah. So probably this was not the final destination of Shambhavi, but she started feeling something in her soul. She started feeling some kind of connectivity. Oh yes, this is the place. This is one of the place where I need to spend some time, and I need to complete my course, which is required as my spiritual journey. So it goes like this.
And Swati, I am sitting in the Himalayas. It is so nice to hear that in your book you mentioned Gupt Kashi is, I think, Uttarakhand, if I'm not wrong, right? You've got Kashi, which is in UP, and you've got Gupt Kashi, which is in Uttarakhand, and that is where I am. I'm sitting in the capital city, Dehradun. So it's really nice, because when you were talking about it, I'm visualizing, and I can actually visualize because I've seen the terrain. I've seen the crazy mountains over here. They're really rough, the Himalayan mountains. When you're talking about all these things, the backdrop, I can visualize it very clearly. Half of a story club is based in Uttarakhand, inside the Himalayas. So I think it's
I'm
a
so
very
glad to
interesting
know.
connect.
Yeah.
Very interesting connect. One question from this: what was the driving force? So you said that she just wanted to meet Shiva, and she wanted to meet him. That was her only desire. What was the reason for that desire? Love or curiosity?
No, that was love, because she felt, she was trying to find that particular purpose of her life, particular purpose of existence of her soul. But then the thing something which was very clear in her mind, clear in her soul, was that the sheer purpose of her being on this planet was only love for Lord Shiva. This was very much clear. She just have to find and explore the journey, how to reach there, when to reach there. But this was crystal clear that she loved Lord Shiva beyond everything, and it was the only thing which was most
Have,
important in her life.
have you read this book, Autobiography of a Yogi?
No, but I wish
Oh, the book,
that's on my bucket list.
You must read. That book changed my life, by the way. I mean, I used to think it's a myth. I used to smile when people, when Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg happened to mention that book. Bill Gates mentioned that book. Barack Obama mentioned that book, the ex-president of the United States. I smiled thinking that, okay, Indian book, Indian guru, we're from India, so for us, I thought it must be
Yeah.
one of those. But when I read that book, it was life-changing. So I also recommend that maybe sometime you grab a copy of that, because your book has that feeling, that flavor of it. In that book also it says that, if you're looking for something, if you really want something, it will be yours. For sure. You have to have the patience, you have to have the courage. It will be yours. And that is the theme that I see in your book with Shambhavi. She is so devoted towards Shiva. She's reached the highest freshwater lake of the world, which is Mansarovar. It's the highest freshwater lake in the world. Yeah.
Correct.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's really nice. It's really nice. So, what is the thing that distinguishes you from other writers? So over here, I want you to be a little arrogant, but it says other chine. So, what distinguishes you? Go ahead.
Perfectly fine. Yeah. So, what distinguishes me? Uh, because as I have been connecting more to other writers and I have been observing their personalities, those of my friends and family members and my colleagues who know me would be really surprised to know that how she is speaking so much, because I was so famous of being introvert. Even if I sit with someone, I can sit and I mean I can sit silently for 2 hours, 3 hours, and I may not speak anything. And people may take it, oh, how arrogant she is. She doesn't speak at all. But that's not the way I am. I'm very introvert. This is one thing. And the other thing is, like, I don't know how other writers write. As I explained my journey of writing Shambhavi, my first fiction with you, but I think that is only my way of writing. I don't write, that I just sit and I imagine and then I write. I write out of my energy transitions. I write
I
out
get
of
it.
my spiritual kicks. Whenever I get a spiritual kick, I don't know from where it comes and how it comes, but whenever I get a spiritual kick or boost, that is the moment when I can write.
Your Jupiter, I think so, keeps poking you. Your Jupiter keeps telling you, right, because that is what is the planet that makes you right is Jupiter, right? And I wanted to
Correct.
share something very interesting, which is I feel that, Shambhavi, your character, her Ketu must be in her 11th house. That is the reason for her crazy devotion for Shiva. When your Ketu is in that particular house, which is either absolutely devoted or you're completely against God.
Oh,
I've
you
seen
have
people like that.
so wonderful knowledge of astrology, Arun. I must
I don't.
appreciate. Yeah.
I don't. I just know a little bit. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you can get to understand people better. So you said you're an introvert by nature. They say that introverts, people who talk less, they're generally very happy from inside. That's why they don't feel the need to talk. Is that true with you?
No, it's not the case always. Because, I mean, yes, you are true partially, because you may choose to be introvert. You may speak very less with others in two situations. In a situation when you are really happy and feel content and complete with yourself, within yourself, or you are completely feel, incomplete with yourself. You are on a different journey. You don't relate to the things around you. Then you may choose to that, okay, I don't have to argue with people. I don't have to, you know, जब मैं किसी चीज के साथ रिलेट नहीं कर पा रही हूँ तो आई कैन नॉट स्पीक अ लॉट अबाउट दैट ना सो दैट इज
Very
द
true.
थिंग या
Very, very true. Very true. I think every writer at some level is is an introvert. I have met writers who are quiet, I've met writers who are talkative, but I know this one thing about writers at some level. Some might be more introverted, some would be less introvert, but I have noticed that most of the writers that I have interacted with, they have that silent corner in their mind. There is a corner in their mind where they are very absolutely quiet,
Yeah,
and
probably,
it's interesting.
yeah, correct. And probably, I feel strongly because I'm an energy practitioner also. When you speak, it requires a lot of energy. You are spending your energy while you are speaking. You are doing a chit chat, obviously. And writers, they prefer to, save that energy for their inner work. And that's why that comes out on their pen and paper and their creativity.
You are super interesting, sir. Really,
Thank you
I
so
am
much.
having such a good time in this interview with you. I cannot tell you. It is a very different experience, getting to know you, the way you put this book.
Yeah. Arun, I lost you. I lost. Yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I was saying that it is genuinely fun talking to you, and I'm really enjoying this chat. Let me go ahead and ask you my next question. Yeah. So,
Yes, please.
when is it that you are expecting your English translation of this book to be out, by the way? I just wanted to quickly add this question.
By end of August.
By end of August. Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
I'll be looking forward to picking up the English version of your book first. Okay,
Yeah,
what would
thank you.
your audience, sorry, you're saying something.
No, no, no. I was saying, yeah, that's okay.
What would your audience gain from reading your book?
Yeah. So it's a wonderful question because audience would only gain what I wish to portray, what I wish to highlight, and what I wish to convey as a message to the community.
Yeah.
So some of my friends who have read the book, they say that it seems like it's a journey. It seems like it's a life journey experience of someone, something which happened to
Sorry
someone.
about that. My phone flipped. Please go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's audible now. Is it audible now?
It is. Absolutely. I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So while I was writing this fiction, apart from writing and creating and decorating the storyline, one idea or one message which was very clear in my mind, which I wanted to convey to my audience, to my readers, is that whatever may happen to you, I mean, it's not necessary that you will, complete all your dreams, you may fulfill all your wishes, and the life will go as you expect. It never happens to anyone. But whatever may happen to you, something good or bad, you need to realize and you need to take action so as to make best use of your energy. And being an energy practitioner, I realize this thing, that we human beings are less body and more energy.
Yeah.
Even if
Absolutely.
yeah, even if we talk about percentage, we are, if we talk about the existence, we are surely 10% of our physical existence, and 90% is energy,
Cosmic.
completely energy. If you work on your energy, you can handle most of the hurdles, most of the challenges of your life.
Yeah.
So I want to portray and I want to highlight with my story that Shambhavi, something very bad, something very disturbing, something very challenging happened to her life, which might have, forced her to take very negative steps like suicide, murder, or commit any negative kind of thing. But no, she listened to her inner voice. She realized
Positive
that
energy.
yeah, correct. She realized that doing a murder or committing a suicide is never going to be creative. And if you listen to your inner voice, if you realize that what is the most important thing in your life, then supreme power, universal energy keeps paving path for you, and things start happening in your life automatically. So I just wanted to say that what may come in your life, you have to be creative, you have to be constructive. Sometimes you may have to pause, because realistically talking, if I say, many of people would relate to this situation, that at times we may face some challenging situation in our life, and we may feel like, oh my god, what should I do now? I don't know. There's no way out, this way, that way, no way out. But even in that situation, what you need to do, you can wait for a while, you can slow down. You'll be a slow person, you'll be a silent person, but that's okay. You're not taking any negative step now. And later on, well, that stage will cross, you will gain your momentum again.
So I have a question as a future reader, as a friend, and as somebody from the audience who just now heard your message. Okay.
Yeah.
We live in a complex society. Yeah.
Correct.
Is a person supposed to live for their own happiness, or are they supposed to also understand the collective happiness of people in their lives? So is it more important for me as a singular as a single entity to be happy, or is it more important that I am a little happy and people around me are a little happy, and that is when it is good? Or is it more important for my energies that I am absolutely top A game happy? It doesn't matter how the others are, because they can take care of themselves.
No, that's not the case. I mean, it's very common. I read somewhere, I don't remember the name of that book, but I read somewhere that when you are caught in a tough situation, when you are in a state of indecision, you don't know where to go, right or left, yes or no. In that situation, you have to realize that if I'm taking option A or option B, which situation is more profitable for maximum of the, people in the world. That is the only way out. So I'm not saying that you have to be, self-centered. But what Shambhavi did, if you will read the fiction Shambhavi, you would realize that she listened to her own heart, she listened to her own inner voice, her own soul, and she dedicated her life. She was in love with Lord Shiva, but she also related very strongly to the social cause. She lived to uplift the social, educational, and financial well-being of a complete village. She worked really hard to bring that village up to a certain level. So it's not about being only self-centered and only caring for your happiness. It's only about listening to your own inner voice, and then it would guide you that how you have to proceed.
Very nice. I am just so intrigued. Am I there?
Connection.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. It was, yeah.
So I said that it is very interesting, and I think I might just pick up this book in Hindi. मैं हिंदी में ही उसको उठा के पढ़ लूंगा, because the books, I think, actually the first version, your best version of it came out in Hindi. I'm going to read it, because becoming, the more you're answering questions, the more I'm becoming interested in this character, Shambhavi especially.
I would I would wait for your reviews. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. And I really like the way, building a character in a book, especially a fiction, is a very tough job. You write a biography, it is easy to write that, so-and-so looked like this and he was my neighbor and blah, 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 blah. You have to imagine a character and build that character into a superhuman of some kind, or some realistic character. That takes a lot of thinking. And that's why in the beginning, when you said, no, you need a real crazy mind to imagine, and you land up saying and doing things which are out of this world, I understand. Are we connected again?
Narun, I lost you. Yeah, you're back again. Yeah, correct.
Okay. I'm sorry about that little dip in between. Okay. My next question, Swati, is that who has been the most influential person in your life, and why?
My grandfather. He was influential. He's no more now. He passed away 5 years back. And I was very much connected to him. I spent my childhood with him. And if you say why he was the influential person in my life, one answer could be that I spent most of my childhood days with him, and the other answer is that he was a devotee of Lord Krishna. And I have seen him. He was a scientist in CSIR. And he was, quite attentive in fulfilling his worldly duties, his, family duties and all those stuff. And still I saw him completely submerged in devotion of Lord Krishna. The way he used to spend his evenings. He would complete all his office work and daily course during daytime, and during evening time he just used to sit down. He was just take Bhagavad Gita and read the chapters and shlokas, and would spontaneously start singing bhajans and songs of Lord Krishna, and he would just nod his head, and you could realize that he is lost somewhere. He is into the devotion of Lord Krishna. I have seen him living that life, and I love him because of his ideologies, the way he prioritized his life.
So your grandfather has been the most influential person in your life. So do you also credit him for being an author today in some way?
Yeah, because as I told you, that he used to, read and narrate from Bhagavad Gita, sometimes from Ramayana. I have spent my childhood listening to stories and Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana. So yeah, it has a strong role in converting me into author, you can say.
It has molded you, it has shaped you. I share the same thing. I miss my grandfather today. It's been 7 years that he's passed away, 8 years actually that he's passed away. My grandparents were like my parents. They were literally like my
Same with
parents.
me.
I've had a
Same
strong
with me.
impact on me, like a really strong impact on me, So I completely understand, and it's beautiful to share a good relationship with your grandparents. It's very nice.
I think network is disturbing. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Jump in the internet. Okay. So Swati, my next question to you, which is the last question of this long, detailed questions, which is being an astrologer, energy practitioner, tarot card reader, would you like to share something from your spiritual inclination or your spiritual side with us?
Correct. As I practices. Yeah, I do lots of spiritual practices, and I do meditation regularly. And I would like to convey it to my audience that if you have a spiritual inclination, and even if you don't have a spiritual inclination, at least any person on this planet would want clarity in their life, that how should they proceed, what should be their next step. It has nothing to do with the spirituality and devotion and those things, but if they are existing on this planet, they need clarity in their life to build their life in a better way. So for that, I would suggest and I would advise my audience to utilize Brahma Muhurt and Godhuli Bela in a certain way, because these two moments are strong, and not only strong, they are really powerful. I have experienced. So for my friends, I would like to explain it a little bit. Brahma Muhurta is the time before sunrise. That is usually somewhere between 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. It varies from place to place. And Godhuli Bela is the time before sunset. It is considered a time where day and night are merging.
Meeting.
That is, yeah, that is also really very powerful. And if you could just sit and meditate for some time, you could feel the vibration, the universal messages which are, pouring on this planet. You just need to realize.
I have a friend.
Felt all these things very strongly. Yeah.
I have a friend, who got not really initiated, but started meditating the last year around October, November. And she shared some experiences about her meditation, though she's not being guided by a guru, or nor has she jumped into spirituality in any way. She would just sit down with her eyes closed and just breathe. But the experiences that she's told me is mind blowing, because she's done this meditation during the evening time when the day meets the night, or the evening, they say. And
Yeah.
the things that she would share with me, like, she said that I see a very, very, I feel very calm, and I see nothing, I feel nothing. The sounds from a very far distance, which I will not be able to hear otherwise, I can hear them better. So yes, I am being able to connect with it now that you've mentioned this evening bit of meditating in the evening.
Even if you, during the evening time, even if you just sit in your balcony or on your terrace and you would just listen to nature, the birds chirping around, the, silent breeze which is going, if you could just soak yourself in that sound of nature, you would get lots of messages, and answers are hidden only there, if you could relate.
I can. Yeah, that's very interesting. Meditation does help. Meditation is essentially just, it's, I think, so one of the master keys to this universe that we've been given, just that we don't use it.
Yeah, and
It is a
it has nothing to do with any
God.
religion or any
Yeah.
spirituality. Even if I say that is
Yeah.
the way to live life,
It's
to
like an exercise, I would say.
yeah, to
It's like
bring
a
clarity.
breathing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. So, Swati, we have had an extremely interesting round of conversation about Shambhavi, the character of your book, about your book, your journey of how you became a writer, and the various aspects around it. It has been not just excellent, it's been superb getting to know you. Before I jump into our next round, which is our snapback round, which I'm sorry about that. On the screen.
Yeah, now it's audible.
So, before I jump into the snapback round and discuss a little more about it, I just wanted to ask you out of curiosity, what is your Vedic Rashi? What's your moon sign?
Mine. So it's spices. Arun, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. There's a little bit of a jump in the internet. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, Pisces, you're a mean Rashi. Is that what it is? Mean Rashi, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, great. So, to the audience, I think we've had an excellent chat around the book. Now, to get to know Swati a little more spontaneously, what we've known or what we've seen about Swati, what we've heard about Swati is she after thought and after action as an author. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to get to know Swati a little more spontaneously, and here are a few questions, Swati, that I'm going to ask you. Your response. Can you hear me, Swati? Am I
Yeah,
back on the
I
screen?
can hear you. Yeah,
Okay.
perfectly fine.
So your responses have to be in one word. I will throw a
Okay.
sentence, or I'm going to throw a word at you, and you have to respond with your first answer that comes into your mind. Just let it out. Just let it roll out of you, and let's see where it goes. Yeah. So, my first question for the snapback round is: what is the most inspirational book you have read?
The Guide by R.K. Narayanan.
Oh, I love R.K. Narayanan. Excellent work.
Yeah.
R.K. Narayanan is like a superhero for us as kids, bachpan se.
The author
R.K.
of
Narayanan.
Malgudi Days. Yeah.
Malgudi Days, exactly. Amazing work. Comedy or drama?
Drama.
You don't like smiling, do you?
No,
Okay.
I do.
Your favorite dish?
My favorite dish.
Make it
Indian
traditional.
paratha with Indian paratha with mango pickles and chai.
Oh, wow. I love that. That's my favorite too. I really like it. It's a very Indian breakfast or an Indian meal, but
Yeah.
it's so tasty, super tasty. Yes. Live in a tree or live in a house.
Tree.
That tree behind you is like talking to the audience and talking to us. You know that all this
Yeah.
while that have been talking to you, this is looking like the tree in Bodh Gaya where Buddha
Yeah.
received his enlightenment. It's like that tree. It's really nice. So you like to
Yeah.
live on a tree. Have you actually ever experienced a tree house?
No, I haven't. I
You
haven't.
you have children, you have kids, Swati?
Yeah, I have. I have
I
my
think you should
son who is 10 years old.
perfect age to start off a tree house project. A 10-year-old kid
Okay.
and a tree house project, it's an excellent thing. Believe me, for the rest of your life, you guys will remember it. Okay, my next
Okay.
one, logical or emotional?
Emotional.
Yeah, you come across that way. Uh, you make friends easily or do you make enemies easily?
I don't make friends easily. No.
You make enemies easily.
I don't make, but it happens. I don't know.
You don't
That
choose
doesn't
enemies.
mean.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Okay, methodical or spontaneous?
Spontaneous.
Really, you spontaneous, huh?
Yeah.
Very nice. Um, your desk is usually super organized or a jumble of everything that you're working on.
Super organized most of the times.
Ah, OCD, yeah.
Yeah.
That is nice. Very nice, very nice. Uh,
Yeah.
born in the future or born in the past? If you were
Past.
given an opportunity, past. So let me. This is out of curiosity. It's not in the questionnaire. How many? If you were given a chance to be born in the past, how long back would you go, or how far back would you go and want to be born?
Maybe into the Stone Age.
Stone Age, which as per the Vedic means that the beginning of Dwapar Yuga.
Yeah.
The beginning of
Kind of.
Dwapar Yuga. That's about 40,000 years ago, at least, a minimum, right?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Watching movies or listening to music?
Music.
Spice or sweet?
Sorry.
Spice or sweet?
Spice.
You prefer your mother tongue over any other? Do you prefer your mother tongue over Hindi, or do you prefer Hindi over any other language in India?
I prefer Hindi.
You prefer Hindi. It's a beautiful language. This is a question out of curiosity. As an astrologer, as a writer, as an astrologer, and I'm going to do a little mathematics over here to understand, simple. Is it possible for you, as an astrologer, to sit down and look at your own chart and say that, hey, if I write a book of this genre, around this time, it's going to become a hit? It's a random question, but I just really want to know, is it possible?
Yeah, it is possible, but I may do it or may not. This is of my choice, but it is possible. And I mean, any kind of calculation which you want to do is possible in astrology and tarot.
Super. So, Swati, my last question to you. I just don't feel like stopping the show, but I have my last question lined up for you, which is, would you like to end by singing a short Shiva mantra or anything, a shlok or anything dedicated to Lord Shiva for our viewers?
Sure. So, okay. This time I'm not singing any Shiva Srot, but you know, when you worship or when you love a Lord, then his choices and his love become your love. So that's why Shiva used to be a devotee of Lord Rama. So this time I'm singing for Lord Ram. Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ramchandra Kripalu Bhajamana Haran Bhav Bhayadarunam Navakanjalocan Kanjamukh Kar Kanjpad Kanjarunam Shri Ram, Shri Ram. कंदर्पया गणित अमित छवि नवनील नीरद सुंदरम पटपीत मानहु तडित रुचि शुचि नौमि जनक सुतावरम श्री रामचंद्र कृपालु भज मन हरण भव भयदारुणम श्री राम भजु दीन बंधु दिनेश दानव दैत्य वंश निकंदनम रघुनंद आनंद कंद कौशल चंद्र दशरथ नंदनम श्री राम सिर मुकुट कुंडल तिलक चारु उदारु अंग विभूषणम आजानु भुज शर चाप धर संग्राम जित खर दूषणम श्री राम इति वदति तुलसीदास शंकर शेष मुनि मनरंजनम मम हृदय कुंज निवास कुरु कामादि खलदल गंजनम श्री रामचंद्र कृपालु भज मन हरण भव भयदारुणम नवकंजलोचन कंज मुख कर कंज पद कंजारुणम श्री राम
Swati,
And
that
I
is
would like I would also like to sing 2 lines from my fiction, which I have used as poetry in my fiction. Just 2
sure,
lines
sure,
of
please.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, hey शिव आओ, अब आ जाओ. हे शिव आओ, अब आ जाओ. प्राणों को अब ना तरसाओ. तुझ में बसे बस तुझ में ही डूबे. किस विधि तुझसे मिलना होवे. प्रीत में तेरे मन मत वाला. कहाँ हो मेरे डमरू वाला. शिव शिव आओ, अब आ जाओ. प्राणों को अब ना तरसाओ. हे शिव आओ, अब आ जाओ.
Really nice, Swati. You've got a beautiful voice. Very, very beautiful voice.
Thank
Really
you.
nice. It's very hard to use the high notes like your C note and uh, I don't know the higher notes. I know about the it's I like the way you pull it. I mean bhajan के time पे जब हम लोग गाते हैं or when we listen to people, very few
Yeah.
people who can pull. You know what I mean? Like really take it up, the pitch, take it really high.
High note.
But it's very
Yeah.
nice. And the kids behind you are having a party of a kind. They're looking into the camera and they're having fun. Say a hi to everyone. Hello, hi.
Hello karo,
So-
hello karo. Hi karo.
So, Swati, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything that you would want to leave the audience with in the last few seconds of the show? Anything that you want to tell them?
I would like to say again that please read my fiction, whatever I have shared.
Bring it
and
in front of the
whatever-
camera so that we can see it.
Okay.
There
Is
you
it
go.
audible?
That's the book.
Yeah.
That's the book.
So this is the book.
Excellent.
I would like to say that I have put my point of view, my opinion, but I would like you people to read my fiction, to read my book, and I would be more than happy to listen and read your feedback and your reviews.
So with that, I urge everyone in the audience who has watched this and is watching that you must pick up this book by Swati Kaushal called Shambhavi, Shiv, Meera. And Swati, thank you very much for your time. It was amazing connecting with you in the middle of pandemic, being able to know you and talk to you. And yes, because you're an astrologer, I am going to now make an extra effort to get in touch with you, keep in touch with you, because there are lots of things that I want to know mathematically about astrology.
Anytime, yeah.
And I don't know much,
Thank-
so you will obviously know much more, and then we can go ahead and connect. Swati, thank you so much once again.
And it was a wonderful pleasure for me, and I thank everyone who joined the show, and thank you, team AStoryClub, for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much, and I look forward to reviews and feedback of all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, people, for joining us, and thanks, Swati, once again. You take care. Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you. Bye. Yeah.